The thing most responsible for our sense of discontent is our inability to practice gratitude at the deepest level. When we're unable to be grateful for the things we already have, we find ourselves drawn to things we do not already possess, believing they'll somehow enhance our lives in some meaningful way to fill the void. This is almost never the case, however, as material desire is but a symptom of greater unrest within the soul. To be clear, I'm not saying that the solution is to sell all of your worldly belongings and become a Buddhist monk somewhere. What I am saying is that when one or more of our key drivers is either out of balance or neglected, unrest will present itself in other areas of our lives. In the case of materialism, you may feel that you're lacking something, which then prompts you to pursue a new handbag or perhaps a technology gadget of some sort to make you feel better. What you'll likely find more often than not is that the acquisition of said accessory will do little, if anything, to ease the sense of restlessness you were originally feeling. The key, then, to true happiness is not to amass a great many possessions, but to instead cultivate contentment so you have fewer wants. If you're looking for a great example of this, you can look no further than one of the most famous stories of Diogenes the Cynic, who lived between 404 and 323 BC. A great example of this can be seen in one of the stories of Diogenes the Cynic, who lived between 404 and 323 BC. Diogenes is a rather fascinating figure in philosophy, but the most famous encounter of his legend allegedly occurred when he crossed paths with Alexander the Great in a grove near Corinth while sunning himself. See, Alexander had heard of Diogenes and a sage-like reputation in ancient Greece. In fact, he reportedly marveled at the man's absolute dogged commitment to his philosophy, as well as his ability and persistence in challenging societal norms and his uncompromising willingness to lead a simple life in accordance with nature. What sorts of societal norms, you might ask? Well, rather than build a house himself or even commission someone else to build a house for him, like most people with the means would do back then, Diogenes instead opted for a large barrel to live in. He rejected pretty much all material possessions, and his wit, unconventional, to put it lightly, behavior, and deep contempt for societal hierarchies had made him a known figure throughout the land. He was famous for his sharp tongue and loved nothing more than to expose the flaws in the thinking of his opponents during philosophical debates. See, Alexander, upon his arrival to Corinth, expected statesmen and philosophers alike to greet him, including Diogenes. But Diogenes was nowhere to be found. This greatly disappointed Alexander. So upon concluding his business in Corinth, the conqueror set out to search for the Cynic, eventually happening upon him as he sunned himself in a grove that afternoon. He simply had to know what he, the man who desired the world, who had already claimed so much, could offer the man who rejected all material possessions and hierarchy. And though Diogenes did raise up at the sound of the approaching crowd, when Alexander greeted the philosopher and asked him if there was any wish that he could fulfill for him, Diogenes merely replied, "Yes, step out of my light, please." This reportedly had Alexander so struck by his response, he couldn't help but admire the haughtiness and grandeur of this man who had nothing but scorn for what he, Alexander, represented essentially. And as he and his followers departed laughing in jest, Alexander reportedly remarked, "Truly, if I was not Alexander, I wish I were Diogenes." So what's the takeaway from all of this, you might be wondering? Essentially, if you can live with content and gratitude for what you already possess, recalling that all you have now, you desired then, not even the most powerful man in the world can move you. That is power. Know who you are by stilling yourself and listening to the self deep within. Then, do your best to live in accordance with that self, never allowing the things you want to make you forget all that you have. Stay positive, be relentless, and take care.